The laziness lie that kills your productivity, the science of self-sabotage. If you've ever called yourself lazy, you're not describing a flaw. You're running a protective script that shuts down action. That label locks your identity, spikes threat, and quietly kills momentum. You don't lack discipline. Your brain's prediction system is trying to keep you safe. Here's the plan. I'll break down the science behind the laziness lie, show how it hijacks motivation, and give you a clear, step-by-step system to replace it. Watch for the hidden trigger, the 3-word reframe, and a 7-day protocol. You'll leave with a 60-second reset you can use today to start, even when you don't feel ready. The problem: how the lazy label becomes identity. Let's start with why that word lazy is so destructive. When you call yourself lazy, you're not describing a temporary state. You're claiming a fixed identity. Identity-based thinking narrows your options. If I'm lazy is who you are, why would you even try a new method? Your brain stops looking for experiments and defaults to the safest prediction. Don't start. Now here's where most people mess up. They think shame will push them forward. In reality, shame creates a loop. Label leads to avoidance. Avoidance creates more evidence of laziness, and that evidence reinforces the label. That's a classic self-fulfilling cycle consistent with attribution theory. Your mind explains failure by blaming your character, not the situation, so the next attempt feels pointless before it begins. The thing most people miss is the threat response. When you attack your identity, your brain treats it like danger. Threat activation shifts control away from the prefrontal cortex, the part you need for planning and self-control, toward limbic systems designed for fast survival. Working memory bandwidth shrinks, flexibility drops. You feel stuck, but what's really happening is your cognitive control got crowded out by a defensive state. This clicked for me when I realized that calling myself lazy always preceded one of two reactions. I'd either numb out with low-effort distractions, or I'd spin in anxious planning without starting. Both are avoidance, and avoidance in the short term lowers perceived threat. So your brain learns, avoiding felt safer. This can resemble learned helplessness. When past efforts felt uncontrollable or punishing, the system may generalize, nothing I do matters, and then it waits. There's also a social layer. If you've internalized stereotypes like, I'm just not a disciplined person, or you've been judged for your output before, the moment you're under evaluation, performance anxiety kicks up. Negative self-stereotyping operates similarly to stereotype threat findings. When you anticipate judgment, effort can drop right when you need it, because the cost of failing feels too high to risk. Before we continue, you need to understand the cognitive cost of carrying the lazy badge. Every time you repeat it, you increase mental load. You're asking your brain to start a task while simultaneously defending against an identity attack. It's like trying to accelerate with one foot on the brake. That extra friction means fewer starts, which means fewer chances for your brain to update its predictions through reward signals. No starts, no wins, no updated belief. The reason this works against you is simple. Your brain is a prediction machine. It bets on the most familiar story because that story feels safe. I'm lazy becomes a prior. When a task shows up, especially a should task with low novelty, your prediction system expects low reward and high effort. The expected value looks bad, so your anterior cingulate tilts away from control. Translation: not worth it. You hesitate. Now here's the shortcut nobody teaches. The problem isn't a lack of discipline. It's the sequence. Threat first, then reward, then effort. If you start by attacking yourself, you're spiking threat, so curiosity and exploration collapse. Then you try to force effort onto a system that's already decided the payoff is low. That's why try harder pep talks backfire. They raise pressure, reduce flexibility, and confirm the story that you can't. A micro story to make this real. Last week, a client kept saying, I'm lazy with outreach. Each time their shoulders tightened and their plan got bigger to compensate. More scripts, more templates, more steps. They didn't send a single email. We removed the label and reframed it. Something is making starting hard. What is it? The moment we identified the blocker, fear of being ignored, the plan shrank to one private draft and a 2-minute timer. They sent 2 emails that day. The difference wasn't willpower. It was reducing threat and restoring control. If you remember nothing else, remember this. Identity language is an instruction to your brain. I'm lazy tells it to conserve energy, avoid risk, and protect you from pain. That instruction may have helped you in the past when effort was punished, but it's miscalibrated now. You need a new instruction that keeps you safe enough to start small, learn fast, and update your predictions. So, where does this leave us? You're not lazy. You're blocked by a set of interacting constraints: threat, ambiguity, friction, and flat reward signals. The lazy label hides those constraints under shame. Remove the label, and you can finally see the system you're running. Once you see it, you can change it. And changing it starts with one move: swap judgment for diagnosis. There's a secret step coming that makes this 10 times easier, but here's the immediate shift. Instead of "I'm lazy," ask, "What's blocking action?" That single reframe moves you from trait to state, from blame to problem solving. In the next section, we'll break down the hidden functions behind inaction so you can stop fighting yourself and start fixing the inputs that actually control your starts. Why you're not lazy. The hidden functions behind inaction. Now that we've stripped the label, let's look at what inaction is actually doing for you. Inaction isn't random, it's often a protective move. Your brain is trying to reduce short-term threat: fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of losing control. When a task carries social evaluation or uncertain payoff, avoiding it lowers immediate anxiety. That relief teaches your system avoiding works, so your brain repeats it, not because you're lazy, because avoidance paid off quickly. The thing most people miss is the energy economy underneath initiation. Starting is expensive. Cognitive load from juggling tasks, sleep debt, and decision fatigue quietly raise the cost of control. There's active debate about ego depletion as a finite resource model, but two findings are robust: choice overload slows decisions, and cognitive fatigue reduces initiation. If you've made 200 tiny choices by noon, your brain is going to choose the default: do nothing, unless the start line is obvious and cheap. Mismatch is another hidden function. Vague goals and friction-heavy environments kill action because your brain selects behavior based on affordances, the obvious next moves it sees. Work on the report isn't an affordance. Open doc, list 3 bullet points is: if the environment is full of friction, 10 clicks to set up, 3 missing tools, the expected cost rises. Your system sensibly defaults to the path with fewer obstacles. Let me show you exactly how unclear constraints add to the stall. When your time, skill, and context don't match the task, your prediction system misprices the effort. That's the planning fallacy at work. You think it'll take 20 minutes? It needs 90. You expect clean focus. Your afternoon is full of interruptions. When reality and plan collide, your brain updates. This is riskier than I thought, so it pauses next time. Again, not laziness, mismatched constraints. Emotion comes before action more often than we admit. Anxiety and shame narrow your options and make effort feel dangerous. The reason this works against you is that negative affect increases perceived cost. When a task carries even a small chance of embarrassment, your system tags it as high threat and downshifts. You feel resistance, call it laziness, and miss the actual signal: I don't feel safe yet. Biology matters too. Low sleep, low glucose, and circadian dips blunt cognitive control and persistence. If you always try deep work at your personal trough, mid-afternoon for many people, you're asking your brain to pay effort when its valuation system is discounting the payoff. You can override that occasionally, but the cost is high and the pattern won't stick. Schedule heavy lifts when your alertness peaks and the slope flattens. So what functions are operating when you procrastinate? Short-term threat reduction, energy conservation, friction avoidance, and uncertainty management. Your brain's doing a cost-benefit analysis you didn't consciously authorize. And here's the shortcut nobody teaches. If you respect those functions, you can reassign them to support action. Reduce threat so avoidance isn't needed. Lower cost so conservation happens inside the task, not outside it. Clarify steps so uncertainty shrinks. Then the same protective system says yes. A quick example. A student told me, I always avoid starting essays. We diagnosed high social threat, fear of judgment, plus unclear affordances and an evening time slot at a circadian low. We changed 3 things: private offline drafting for the first 10 minutes to lower evaluation threat, a starter move, write 1 ugly paragraph about the thesis to create a clear affordance, and a morning slot right after coffee. Same brain, different inputs. Starts doubled, and the label lazy quietly vanished. Now you might be thinking, but sometimes I avoid even fun tasks. Right, because novelty and reward prediction matter. Tasks that feel like shoulds don't pay immediate dopamine. Your prediction system sees low novelty, low salience, and undervalues the start. If there's also friction or threat, the expected value is negative, so you get gridlock. Add a tiny novelty twist, new location, fresh soundtrack, different format, and the valuation can flip enough to initiate. Before we continue, you need to understand the role of familiarity. Your brain bets on the most familiar story to reduce uncertainty. If the familiar story is I stall, it'll predict stalling and feel oddly safe staying stuck. That's why identity matters, but we don't fix identity head-on. We change what the brain predicts by altering cues and generating quick wins. Action creates evidence. Evidence updates the story without a fight. Here's the checkpoint. If you feel stuck, ask, what function is my inaction serving right now? Is it lowering threat, preserving energy, avoiding friction, managing uncertainty? Once you name the function, the fix becomes obvious. If it's threat, we create safety. If it's energy, we shift timing or shrink the first move. If it's friction, we change the setup. If it's uncertainty, we define the next visible step. A micro story to land this. One client procrastinated on gym sessions. The function wasn't laziness, it was uncertainty and friction. 3 different gyms, no packed bag, and a fear of looking inexperienced. We solved the function. Single default gym, bag packed the night before, private starter. 10 minutes on a treadmill facing a wall. Threat down, friction down, clarity up. They went 4 times that week. If you remember nothing else from this section, remember this. Inaction is information. It's your system protecting you based on current inputs. Change the inputs and the same system protect you by helping you start. The science. Motivation, reward, and threat. Now that you can see the functions behind inaction, let's zoom into the circuitry that drives those choices. The fast rule is this. When your brain senses threat, curiosity and initiation drop. Threat activation shifts control toward limbic circuits. Great for survival, terrible for complex work. Prefrontal resources that handle planning, working memory, and flexible thinking get throttled. That's why under pressure, you either freeze, flee to distractions, or fight the task with rigid, unhelpful intensity. Here's the shortcut nobody teaches. You can't brute force executive function while the alarm system is blaring. You have to downshift arousal first. Safety, psychological and practical, restores bandwidth. Once threat lowers, the prefrontal cortex can re-engage and your options widen. This is why soothing self-talk beats shaming pep talks. One reduces perceived danger, the other raises it. Now, let's talk about reward prediction error, the brain's way of tracking surprise in outcomes. Dopamine spikes when reality beats your expectation and dips when it underperforms. Should tasks usually carry low novelty and low salience, so your prediction system expects a flat payoff. If your prior is, this will be boring and effortful, there's little dopamine incentive to start. Add friction or uncertainty and the expected value goes negative, so your effort system says, not worth the cost. The thing most people miss is that you can manufacture small positive prediction errors on purpose. When you front-load tiny novelty, new location, different soundtrack, fresh format, or you design a starter move that produces visible evidence in 2 minutes, you give your brain a quick, oh, that was easier than expected signal. That positive surprise nudges dopamine up and makes the next step cheaper. You're not chasing motivation, you're adjusting the valuation inputs that produce it. Identity sits on top of prediction. Your brain prefers familiar stories because they're easier to compute. If the familiar story is, I stall, it predicts stalling and finds safety in repeating it. This is predictive processing at work. Priors guide perception and action. So rather than fighting the story head-on, you change what the system witnesses. Create a run of starts, even tiny ones, and the prior updates. The identity shifts because the predictions shift. Context often beats self-talk. Cues in your environment trigger routines automatically, saving computation. If your work cue is your desk, but the desk is cluttered with competing prompts, notifications, open tabs, snacks, your brain receives mixed instructions. Reduce cues that don't belong, amplify the one that does, and the start becomes the path of least resistance. Habit loops are cue contingent. Willpower is inconsistent when costs are high. Under the hood, your anterior cingulate cortex is constantly running a cost-benefit analysis. How much control will this take versus what will I get back? When threats are high, clarity is low, or energy is depleted, the cost signal outweighs the expected reward. That's why the order of operations matters. Safety first to quiet the alarm, clarity next to lower ambiguity, then friction reduction to drop cost, and finally reward to tilt value positive. Only then does heavy effort make sense. Let me show you exactly how this plays out in a simple scenario. You need to draft a proposal. If you start with "this has to be perfect," you trigger threat. Your prefrontal control narrows, and you feel foggy. You add "work all afternoon," which is vague, no clear affordance, so ambiguity rises. Your desk has 10 open tabs, friction up. Finally, you tell yourself, "it's just admin," which flattens expected reward. 4 strikes. Of course you avoid. Flip the inputs, 60 seconds of slow breathing to shift state, then a concrete starter move. Open doc, write a messy 3-sentence outline. Close all tabs but one, set a 10-minute timer, and add a tiny reward. Check a visual counter. Same person, different valuation. You start. A quick microstory. A designer told me they needed discipline to tackle revisions. We ran the valuation check instead. High threat, client, judgment, low clarity, uncertain first step. High friction, files scattered. Flat reward, no quick win. We stacked the levers. Private draft first, a fileable shortcut, a 1-line change to create immediate before-after, and a 5-minute timer. Threat down, clarity up, friction down, reward up. They finished 2 rounds in under an hour. If you remember nothing else from this section, remember this. Your brain isn't lazy. It's rational under its predictions. It will always choose the option that feels safest and most valuable for the least cost. Change those 3 dials: threat, clarity, and cost, then salience, and initiation follows. So stop fixing discipline in the abstract and fix the inputs your valuation system actually uses. Safety first, then reward, then effort. When you respect the sequence, effort becomes the obvious next move, not a fight. The science: motivation, reward, and threat. Let's connect what you're feeling to how your brain actually makes start or don't start decisions. First, threat. When your system reads a task as risky, socially, emotionally, or reputationally, it shifts control from flexible planning networks to fast, defensive circuits. Curiosity drops, exploration shrinks, and you either freeze, flee to a distraction, or grind with rigid intensity that doesn't stick. You can't think your way out while the alarm is loud. You have to calm the alarm, then plan. The reason this matters is timing. If you try to be disciplined while your threat system is active, you're fighting biology. Lower arousal first, through breath, posture, or a safe framing, and cognitive control comes back online. Once the threat dial decreases, you get working memory and flexibility back, which is exactly what starting requires: a clear next move and the sense it's worth doing. Now, reward prediction error. Your brain's motivation system isn't paying you for shoulds, it pays for positive surprises. Dopamine rises when outcomes beat expectations and dips when they disappoint. Many tasks we avoid have low novelty and unclear payoffs, so the predicted value is flat or negative. Add friction, and your system tags the start as too costly for the reward. That's why you can scroll for an hour but won't open the doc. It's not a moral failure, it's a valuation problem. Here's the practical insight. You can manufacture tiny positive surprises. Add novelty at the start. New location, fresh playlist, alternative input like voice notes, or pick a starter move that produces visible evidence in 2 minutes. When your brain gets, "oh, that was easier than expected," dopamine ticks up and the next move feels cheaper. You're not waiting for motivation, you're engineering prediction updates that create it. Identity and prediction are glued together. Your brain uses prior stories to reduce uncertainty. If the prior is, "I stall," the system predicts stalling and ironically relaxes when you don't start. That's predictive processing at work. Fighting the story with affirmations is weak if the evidence says otherwise, but rapid, repeated starts, even tiny ones, feed new data to the prediction system. After a handful of wins, the prior softens. "I start small" becomes the safer, more familiar story. Context beats self-talk. Cues in your environment initiate routines faster than trying to argue yourself into action. If your workspace holds multiple conflicting cues, notifications, tabs, snacks, messages, your brain gets mixed instructions. Make the start line visible and singular. One tool open, one file front and center, one timer, everything else off the path. By simplifying cues, you reduce computation and make start the default. Underneath this, a cost-benefit calculator in your brain, heavily involving the anterior cingulate, balances expected value against the cost of control. High threat, low clarity, high friction, and flat reward increase perceived cost. Lower them in that order: safety, clarity, friction, then reward, and the balance flips. Suddenly the same task feels doable because you've changed the math, not your character. Let me show you exactly how the sequence works. Say you need to outline a report. If you begin with "this has to impress my boss," threat spikes and bandwidth narrows. If your plan is "work on it this afternoon," that's ambiguous, no clear affordance, so decision load rises. If you've got 6 tabs open and files scattered, friction climbs. And if you tell yourself, "it's just admin," you flatten reward. 4 inputs push the cost-benefit away from starting. Flip them. 1 minute of slow exhale breathing to quiet arousal, then define a concrete starter. Open doc, write 3 messy bullets. Close everything but the doc, set a 10-minute timer, and add a small reward. Tick a counter or send a private check-in. Same brain, new valuation. You start. Now here's where most people mess up. They boost only the reward, coffee, music, a treat, without fixing threat, clarity, or friction. That's sugarcoating a spiked cost. You'll get a short bump, then crash. Or they attack identity. Don't be lazy, which raises threat and doubles the price of control. The system is rational, you just fed it bad inputs. A quick example. A developer dreaded code reviews. We ran the checklist. Threat high, peer judgment. Clarity low, unsure which file to open first. Friction high, repo not synced. Reward flat, no visible win. We stacked the sequence. 60 seconds of breathing and a safe to start messy queue. A precise starter, pull latest, scan diff titles for 5 minutes. A precinct script to remove friction, and a micro win, log 1 improvement note. They moved from dread to action in under 3 minutes. If you remember nothing else, remember this. Motivation isn't a feeling you wait for. It's an output of inputs your brain weighs every second. Reduce threat, define a visible first move, strip friction, and front-load a small novelty or win. Respect the order, and effort stops feeling like a fight. Stop doing what fails. Common anti-strategies. Now that you understand the inputs your brain uses to decide, let's cut the tactics that secretly crank those costs. These are the anti-strategies that feel productive but stall you. Shaming pep talks and try harder ultimatums. People think pressure equals performance. But shaming language spikes threat and narrows your cognitive control. You raise the alarm and then ask the part of your brain you just sidelined to save you. Result: rigidity, avoidance, or burnout. Replace "don't be lazy" with "I'm safe to start messy." One lowers perceived danger, the other raises it. All or nothing plans. I'll do a perfect 4-hour deep work session or I failed. That binary framing makes the cost feel massive and the probability of success tiny. Your brain chooses the low-cost option, not starting. When you set a tiny minimum, 2 minutes, 1 page, 1 micro-commit, you shrink ambiguity and reduce cost. Compliance goes up because the start looks cheap enough to try. Endless planning without constraint testing. Planning feels safe because it postpones exposure. But planning without touching reality gives you 0 feedback. No feedback means no prediction, means no learning, and no motivation uptick. The fix is simple. Every plan must include a starter move that creates evidence in under 2 minutes. Data beats daydreams. Tool chasing instead of environment shaping. New apps feel like progress, but they add complexity, create new decisions, and leave the queue environment unchanged. If your desk still screams distractions, swapping one app for another won't move the needle. Start with environment. 1 tool open, 1 file visible, 1 clear start line in your path. Defaults beat features. Overtracking that increases friction and guilt. Metrics can guide behavior, but heavy tracking adds steps and constant evaluation. That raises the cost of control and pairs your work with judgment. Track only what drives action. Starts and completions. If a metric doesn't change your next move, drop it. Keep measurement low friction and low threat so it supports momentum instead of policing it. Now here's where most people mess up. They stack all 5 anti-strategies at once. They shame themselves, declare a huge goal, plan for hours, download 3 apps, and build a complex tracker. The cost-benefit skyrockets. Of course they avoid. You can't win a rigged game. Unrig it. Let me show you how each anti-strategy maps to an input and how to flip it. Shame maps to threat. Flip it with a 60-second safety reset and a compassionate pre-commit. Try, I'm safe to start messy. 2 minutes counts. You lower arousal and restore bandwidth before asking for effort. All or nothing maps to clarity and perceived cost. Flip it with scope slicing and the starter move. Define a verb, object, and constraint. Write 3 messy bullets in 10 minutes. Clear affordance, limited cost. Endless planning maps to uncertainty. Flip it with constraint testing. Touch reality immediately. Open the file, produce a tiny piece of evidence, then revise the plan with what you learned. Planning becomes a loop, not a lid. Tool chasing maps to friction. Flip it by removing obstacles instead of adding options. Batch your setup once. Synced files, single tab rule, preset timer, water on the desk. The start line is ready when you arrive. Overtracking maps to friction and threat. Flip it by tracking only leading indicators. 2 counters on a sticky note. Starts and completions. That's it. You're rewarding initiation and closure, the 2 behaviors that update predictions fastest. A quick micro story. A founder I coached kept saying, I need a better system. Their week. New project manager app. 10 labels, a burn down chart, daily guilt. Starts were near 0. We scrapped the stack, made 1 page with 3 starter moves, set a 10-minute timer twice a day, and tracked only starts and completions. Week 2, 17 starts, 9 completions, no panic, attacks. The system wasn't missing, the inputs were wrong. Before we continue, test yourself. Which anti-strategy do you default to? Shame, binary plans, planning loops, tool hopping, or overtracking? Pick the loudest one and run this sentence. If this doesn't lower threat, raise clarity, cut friction, or add immediate salience, it goes. That's your filter. Here's the shortcut nobody teaches. Remove first, then add. Subtract the threat and friction creators, then add 1 small clarity move and 1 tiny reward. If the change makes the very first 30 seconds easier, you're on track. If it makes the first 30 seconds heavier, it's an anti-strategy in disguise. If you remember nothing else from this section, remember this. Anything that increases threat, ambiguity, steps, or evaluation at the start will tank initiation. Swap shame for safety, binaries for slices, plans for tests, apps for defaults, and dashboards for 2 counters. Once those are gone, you'll feel the floor drop on cost. And when starting feels cheap, you start. From lazy identity to functional diagnosis. Now let's flip the script. Up to now, I'm lazy has been your default story. We're replacing it with a functional diagnosis you can act on. The move is simple. Instead of judging the self, investigate the system. Trait to state, judgment to design. Here's the language. Something makes starting hard. What is it? That question opens options your brain can actually use. Why this works. Your brain follows instructions. I'm lazy instructs it to conserve and avoid. What's blocking action instructs it to scan for levers you can pull. Instantly, you move from static identity to dynamic variables. Variables can be changed. And once you see the levers, you stop arguing with motivation and start tuning inputs. Let me show you exactly how to diagnose. You're going to map blockers to 4 domains: threat, ambiguity, friction, and reward. Think of them as the big 4 that drive your start or don't start math. First, threat. Ask what feels risky about starting. Common answers: fear of judgment, fear of wasting time, fear of not finishing. If you feel your chest tighten or your self-talk gets harsh, that's a threat spike. You'll handle threat with safety tools in the next section, but right now just tag it clearly. Naming lowers uncertainty. Second, clarity. Ask, what exactly is the next visible move? If your answer is an outcome, finish the chapter, do the proposal, you don't have clarity. You need an affordance, a verb, an object, and a constraint. For example, outline 3 bullets in 10 minutes. Your brain needs a handle it can grab today, not a finish line it can't see yet. Third, friction. Ask what steps or missing pieces make the first 30 seconds heavy. Missing files, scattered tools, 10 open tabs, a noisy space, each adds cost. Friction is sneaky because it hides in tiny actions. If you can't start without 5 clicks or a search, your system will default to the cheaper path. We'll remove this in deliberate ways, but first spot it. Fourth, reward. Ask, what will feel good in the first 2 minutes? If the only payoff is far away, promotion, grade, long-term health, your brain discounts it. You need immediate salience, novelty, visible progress, or a micro win you can check off. You're not bribing yourself, you're creating a small positive prediction error, so your valuation tilts toward start. Here's the 3-word reframe that binds it all. What's blocking action? Say it exactly like that. It forces your attention to the level where solutions live. Inputs, not identity. Run it anytime you stall and don't accept vague answers. If the answer doesn't suggest a fix, it's not precise enough. Use constraint language to sharpen your diagnosis. Limit, locate, label. Limit the scope, only the first paragraph. Locate the context. At the kitchen table, 8:30 to 8:40. Label the state, nervous about being judged. Constraints reduce decision load and convert fog into handles. The moment you can state a constraint, you can design around it. Let me give you a quick example. Old identity, I'm lazy with budgeting. Functional diagnosis, threat, fear of seeing mistakes. Clarity, no first step. Friction, receipts scattered. Reward, 0 immediate payoff. Constraint language, sort last week's receipts only at 6 p.m. for 10 minutes with music. Now you have 4 levers to pull and a small container to work inside. You've lowered cost without pretending to be a different person. Now here's where most people mess up. They reframe once, but keep vague language that doesn't tell the body what to do. I just need to focus. That's not a move, it's a wish. The test is simple. If your statement doesn't forecast an intervention, it's not useful. I'll try harder forecasts nothing. Open the spreadsheet, reconcile 3 transactions, stop forecasts concrete actions that produce evidence. A micro story. A writer told me I'm a procrastinator. We ran the reframe. Blockers, high threat, feedback anxiety, low clarity, no starter, medium friction, files in different folders, flat reward, no immediate signal. Constraint language at 9:10, open draft 2, write an intentionally bad intro sentence, then turn on track changes and fix 3 words. The permission to write badly, lowered threat, the starter created a handle, a single folder shortcut killed friction, and the track changes tick marks delivered visible wins. They started 5 days in a row. If you remember nothing else, remember this. Identity statements aren't facts, they're settings. Change the setting by diagnosing function. The moment you move from I'm lazy to threat high, clarity low, friction high, reward flat, you're no longer stuck. You're a designer in a lab, tuning inputs. Okay, so here's your quick, repeatable diagnosis ritual. Ask, what's blocking action? Then scan the big 4, threat, clarity, friction, reward. Choose the dominant blocker. Don't fix everything. Fix the biggest dial first. Write 1 constraint sentence, verb plus object plus constraint, in a specific context. Predict 1 tiny payoff you'll feel in 2 minutes. Start the smallest action that produces evidence. Once you nail that, everything else clicks. Because now, instead of fighting yourself, you're cooperating with the system that actually decides. In the next section, we'll build your 4-lever action engine: safety, clarity, friction, reward, so you can pull the right lever, in the right order, on demand. The 4-lever action engine, structure you'll use daily. Here's the engine you'll use every day. 4 levers, always in the same order: safety, clarity, friction, reward. Pull them top down. If you try to skip ahead, the math tilts against you and starts stall. When you respect the sequence, initiation becomes cheap and repeatable. Lever 1 is safety. Your goal is to quiet the alarm so the planning part of your brain can come back online. Do a 60-second reset. 4 slow box breaths, in for 4, hold for 4, out for 6 to 8, hold for 2. On the first exhale, say, I'm safe to start messy. That line shifts your appraisal from threat to challenge. Then reduce exposure. Start privately, offline, or in a time box that feels small enough to risk. Give yourself permission to waste the first 2 minutes. You're telling your system, no one's judging this yet. If you feel tightness, add the 2 truths check. I'm nervous, and this matters. Both can be true. The fear is named, it doesn't run the show. Once you've lowered threat, pull lever 2, clarity. Clarity means you can see a visible first move a toddler could point to. Use the verb plus object constraint formula. Outline 3 bullets in 10 minutes. Rename 5 files in 1 pass. Draft an ugly paragraph about the thesis. This converts an outcome into an affordance. Then add a starter move that produces evidence in 2 minutes. Evidence is crucial. It feeds your prediction system a quick win, so the next step feels cheaper. Scope slice until the move fits today's energy and time. If it still feels heavy, you don't have clarity. You have an outcome in disguise. Rewrite it smaller and more concrete. Lever 3 is friction. You're removing obstacles from the first 30 seconds. Start with environment shaping. Put the start line in your path. One tool open, one file front and center, timer preset, water visible, everything else out of reach. Adopt the single tab rule and lock the tool you're using so you can't alt tab without intention. Batch your setup once per week. Synced repos, template files, hotkeys, default folders, and a ready-to-go workspace. Energy matching matters here too. Schedule heavy lifts to your natural peak window and reserve troughs for admin. You're not trying to be heroic. You're engineering defaults so starting is the easiest option in the room. Lever 4 is reward. You're going to make the first minute feel interesting and the finish feel visible. Add immediate novelty. Change location, put on a new playlist, switch to voice notes for the first pass, or flip the format from typing to handwriting. Novelty bumps salience enough to get you over the hump. Then set a micro reward that won't hijack the task. A completion counter, a tiny check mark, a visual progress bar. Stop on a win. Ending while you still want one more rep builds a craving to return. Light social proof helps too. A quick, low-pressure check-in to a buddy or a private log. Keep it supportive, not evaluative. Why this order? Because your brain's valuation system tends to weigh safety before value, and value before effort. Safety restores bandwidth, clarity reduces ambiguity, friction reduction lowers cost, reward raises expected value. Only then does heavy effort make sense. If you start with rewards while threat and friction are high, you'll get a short-lived bump with little stickiness. If you start with clarity but skip safety, you may have a solid plan you're too tense to touch. Let me show you exactly how it looks in a 2-minute setup ritual you can run before any focused block. Safety. 1 minute of box breathing, whisper, safe to start messy, and switch to private mode. Notifications off, door closed. Clarity. Write your starter move on a sticky note in Verb object constraint form. Friction. Close everything but the one tool, load the right file, and set a 10-minute timer. Reward. Hit play on a fresh playlist and put a tally box next to starts. That's it. You've flipped the valuation. A micro-story. A grad student avoided statistics homework for weeks. We ran the engine. Safety. Reset breath. Safe to start messy. First pass offline. Clarity. Open dataset. Write 3 questions I need the model to answer in 10 minutes. Friction. Preloaded the data. Single tab rule. Preset notebook template. Reward. New lo-fi playlist and a starts counter. They completed 2 sessions back-to-back and reported it felt lighter. Nothing mystical, just better inputs. Now here's where most people mess up. They try to pull all 4 levers at once, or they fix the 4th first. Don't. Scan, identify the loudest blocker, and pull in order. If you feel anxious, that's a safety job. If you feel foggy, it's clarity. If you feel tangled, it's friction. If you feel flat, it's reward. When in doubt, run the 2-minute ritual. It hits all 4 with minimal overhead. If you remember nothing else, remember this. The engine is a sequence, not a buffet. Safety, then clarity, then friction, then reward. Pull them in order and the cost of starting collapses. When starting is cheap, you start, and once you start, your identity updates itself. Lever 1, create psychological safety on demand. Let's make this practical. If threat is the first blocker, safety is the first lever. Your goal isn't to feel amazing, it's to be safe enough to start. We'll build a 60-second reset, add language that calms evaluation, lower exposure, and use a simple mental move that lets fear and value coexist so it doesn't hijack you. Start with the 60-second reset. Box breathing is fast and reliable. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6 to 8, hold for 2. Do that 4 cycles. On the first exhale, add a compassionate cue. I'm safe to start messy. You're telling your nervous system the first pass isn't a test. Long exhales shift your physiology toward calm, and calm gives you back working memory. You're not chasing Zen, you're buying bandwidth. Now layer in pre-commit language that reframes the moment. Try, today effort counts, not elegance, or this is a draft, not a verdict. The point is to flip appraisal from threat to challenge. Threat says if I mess up, I'm exposed. Challenge says I can handle the first step. A sentence or 2 is enough. Keep it specific and kind, not vague hype. Next, reduce exposure. Private drafts offline first, and time-box trials lower social evaluative threat values, which is the sneakiest driver of avoidance. If feedback fear is loud, start where no one can see it. Airplane mode, camera off, quiet room. If the task involves public output, build a sandbox version, dummy doc, local file, practice deck. Time-box the first rep to 5 or 10 minutes. You're making the risk small and reversible so your system says, safe enough. Add the permission to waste clause to your start. Say, I'm allowed to waste the first 2 minutes. That signal matters. Most people wait for certainty before action, but certainty is a post-start reward, not a pre-start requirement. Tolerating ambiguity is a skill. Permission to waste trains it quickly. You'll feel the urge to optimize the plan. 2 minutes of imperfect motion beats 20 minutes of anxious prep. Use the two truths move to neutralize fear without arguing with it. Say, I'm nervous, and this matters. Or, I don't feel ready, and I can still begin. Both truths can sit together. When fear is allowed, it usually shrinks. When you try to ban it, it gets louder. You're practicing acceptance, not avoidance, which breaks the spiral. Let me show you exactly how these pieces fit in a 1-minute safety ritual you can run before any start. Step 1, sit, feet planted. Step 2, box breathing. 4 in, 4 hold, 6 to 8 out, 2 hold for 4 rounds. Step 3, compassionate cue on the exhale, safe to start messy. Step 4, reduce exposure, go private or offline, close chat, door close. Step 5, permission to waste for 2 minutes, then move to clarity. That's it. No drama, no speeches, a quick micro story. A product manager dreaded writing status updates because leadership read them. We ran safety. They did 4 breaths, whispered safe to start messy, duplicated last week's doc into a private draft, and set a 5-minute time box. 2 truths. I'm anxious, and this matters. At minute 5, they had 6 rough bullets. Threat down, bandwidth up. They kept going for 15. The content didn't change. The state did. Now here's where most people mess up. They try to find a perfectly calm state before starting. That's not the job. The job is calm enough to see the next move. If you overshoot safety into comfort-seeking, scrolling, cleaning, tinkering, you've turned safety into avoidance. Keep the ritual short and paired with a concrete starter. Safety unlocks clarity. Clarity pulls you forward. Another mistake is outsourcing safety to other people's approval. I'll start once my boss says it's fine. That hands your nervous system to someone else's calendar. Build internal cues you control. Breath, words, environment, time box. External support helps, but your on-demand safety switch needs to live with you. You might be thinking, what if the task is genuinely risky? Then you differentiate exposure types. There's productive exposure, showing a draft to one trusted person, and premature exposure, posting publicly before you're ready. Use graduated exposure, private draft, then small circle, then wider share. Each step teaches your system, I can survive this, and your threat dial drops. Here's a quick checklist to self-test safety in under 30 seconds. Body. Can I lengthen my exhale right now? Language. Did I say one compassionate line? Exposure. Is my first step private, offline, or time-boxed? Permission. Did I grant 2 minutes to waste? If you tick 3 out of 4, you're safe enough to start. If not, run the 1-minute ritual again. It's short by design, so you'll actually use it. A final example. A creator avoided hitting record. We stacked safety. 4 breaths, safe to start messy, camera rolling to a local file with the lens cap on for the first 60 seconds. Time box of 5 minutes. 2 truths. I'm rusty and I can warm up. They recorded a rough intro and deleted it. Then they recorded the real one on the second take. Private first pass reduced evaluation threat, breathing restored bandwidth, permission to waste killed perfection pressure. Starts became routine. If you remember nothing else, remember this. Safety isn't coddling, it's access. Without it, your best tools are locked in a cabinet you can't open. With it, clarity works, friction drops, and reward can land. Next, we'll convert that safety into a visible starter you can't miss. Lever 2, turn vague goals into visible steps. Now that you're safe enough to start, we convert fog into handles. Clarity isn't know the whole plan. Clarity is see the first visible move. When you can point to something concrete and small, initiation stops feeling like a gamble and starts feeling like a tap-in. Here's the shortcut nobody teaches. Define your task as a verb, an object, and a constraint. Verb says action. Object says what you'll touch. Constraint limits time, scope, or quality so it fits today. Outline 3 bullets in 10 minutes. Rename 5 files in 1 pass. Draft an ugly paragraph about the thesis. If a toddler couldn't point to it, it's not clear. Actually, let me back up and show you why this matters. Your brain selects actions based on affordances, the obvious moves it can execute right now. Work on the report isn't an affordance. Open draft 3 and write 3 subheads in 10 minutes is. This shift drops ambiguity, which is a big chunk of the cost your system is weighing. The thing most people miss is evidence. You don't just want a clear move, you want a starter move that produces proof within 2 minutes. Proof equals a tiny outcome your prediction system can count. 3 bullets on the page, 1 renamed file, a saved outline. That proof creates a small positive surprise. Oh, that was easier than expected, which nudges motivation up for the next action. Let me show you exactly how to craft a starter move. Take your outcome and slice until you get to a visible, low-risk action. Writing a chapter becomes open doc. Write 1 ugly sentence that could start the chapter. Studying becomes open notes. Highlight 3 definitions and write 1 connecting question. Outreach becomes paste yesterday's template. Personalize the first line for 1 person. If it still feels heavy, you're trying to do 2 actions at once. Separate them. Scope slicing is your best friend here. Ask, what's the smallest chunk that meaningfully moves this forward? Not any chunk, the smallest meaningful chunk. For a research project, that might be collect 2 sources and extract 1 quote each. For design, duplicate the layout and try 1 alternate header size. For budgeting, reconcile 3 transactions. Meaningful chunks build momentum because they change the state of the project, not just your to-do list. Use context cards to pre-match actions to where you are. 4 fields: location, tools, time, energy. Kitchen table, laptop plus spreadsheet, 10 minutes, medium energy. Now pick a move that fits the card. When context matches action, initiation spikes because you've removed hidden negotiations. Now here's where most people mess up. They plan outcomes instead of actions. Finish the presentation sounds decisive, but your brain can't start on finish. Translate outcomes into visible steps. Open slide deck. Duplicate slide 2. Write 1 new headline. Keep repeating that translation until each line could happen in under 10 minutes. Another common slip, mixing decision and action. Decide structure and draft intro is 2 tasks. Decision first, list 3 possible structures in 5 minutes. Action next, draft a messy intro for structure B. Separating them avoids cognitive jamming. Let me give you a quick micro-story. A client stalled on a grant proposal. Their plan was, write the methodology section. We converted it, verb object constraint, open method V. Write 3 bullet questions the section must answer in 8 minutes. That produced evidence. Then, draft 1 ugly paragraph answering question 1. 2 moves, 20 minutes, momentum unlocked. The floodgates didn't open, the start line became obvious. Use this 3-step clarity ritual anytime you feel foggy. Step 1, reduce the noun to a verb. If you wrote presentation, rewrite as draft, outline, or cut. Step 2, add the object. Which file, slide, paragraph, or dataset will you touch? Name it exactly. Step 3, add the constraint. Time box, 2 to 10 minutes. Quantity, 3 bullets, 5 files. Or quality, ugly, messy, first pass. Say it out loud. If it still sounds like an outcome, slice again. Now you might be thinking, what about big, ambiguous projects? Use a discovery starter. Open doc. List 5 questions I need answered before I can plan. Or run a reality probe. Try the first move for 2 minutes to test where the friction lives. Discovery counts as progress because it lowers uncertainty, which lowers cost. Common mistakes to avoid. Vague verbs like work on, research, handle. Swap for open, list, outline, draft, rename, send, reconcile. Hidden setup steps. If you can't start without hunting files, add open folder X as a line item. Overscoping the first move. If you feel tension in your chest reading it, it's too big. Cut it in half. Here's a quick template bank you can steal. Writing, open file, write 3 ugly bullets for section in 10 minutes. Study, open chapter, summarize 1 paragraph in 3 sentences. Code, open branch, run tests, fix 1 failing test name. Design, open layout, duplicate, try 1 alternate header size. Admin, open inbox, archive or reply to 3 messages with a 2-sentence max. A final example to lock it in. You need to organize finances, that's fog. Clarity pass, open Jan budget, reconcile 3 transactions in 5 minutes. Starter move, click bank feed, accept 3 obvious matches. Evidence, 3 reconciled lines, counter ticked. That tiny proof is enough to flip the valuation so the next 5 minutes feel cheaper. If you remember nothing else, remember this. Clarity is a handle, not a headline. Verb, object, constraint. Starter move that makes evidence fast. Slice to the smallest meaningful chunk, match it to your context, and separate decisions from actions. When the first move is visible, your brain stops debating and starts doing. Lever 3. Remove friction and engineer defaults. Clarity gave you a handle. Now we make that handle the easiest thing to grab in your environment. Friction lives in the first 30 seconds. Extra clicks, missing tools, visual clutter, attention leaks. Your brain is constantly asking, what's the lowest cost path? If the start line is buried, the answer is never start. So we engineer defaults that make the desired action the least expensive option in the room. Environment first. Put the start line in your path. That means 1 tool open, 1 file front and center, timer preset, water visible, everything else out of reach. Clear the desk to a single cue that screams the task. The open doc, the top book, the labeled folder. If you can, change the physical route. Laptop on the table, not the couch. Notebook open on the chair you'll sit in next. Your eyes are part of your environment. What they see decides faster than self-talk. Batch setup once to eliminate repeated decisions. Think of it as a weekly pit stop. Preload templates, pin the critical folders, create a Start Here workspace that opens with the files you touch first. Sync repos, update packages, log into the systems that always prompt at the worst time. Save a blank draft doc with your first-line scaffolds already inside. The point is to move setup into a single low-stakes block so your daily start costs almost nothing. Adopt the single-tab rule in Tool Lock. 1 tab for the task, 1 app in focus, everything else closed. Use full screen or focus modes. If you habitually Alt-tab, add a soft lock. Put distracting apps behind a tiny friction wall. Require a password. Use site blockers on a time delay, or move the dock to a side you never look at. You're not forcing discipline, you're making the easiest action the right one. Now match energy to the task. Heavy lifts belong to your peak windows, admin goes to troughs. For many people, peaks land late morning and early evening, with a dip mid-afternoon. You know your pattern, use it. If energy is medium, pick medium friction, work. If energy is low, choose ultra-clear, tiny steps that still create evidence. Energy matching removes the hidden tax of asking your brain to sprint on a hill. Remove micro-frictions you barely notice but always pay. Create a launch pad, charger plugged, headphones paired, pen uncapped, documents pre-filtered to this week. Pre-decide file names and folder structure so you never stop to wonder where things go. Turn off auto notifications on anything non-essential. Silence badges. Each removed micro-choice is reclaimed focus. Engineer physical defaults that force the right first step. Put your shoes on the mat facing out at night if you want a morning walk. Place the book on your keyboard so you must move it to open your laptop, then read 1 page. Put the Start Here sticky on the monitor so you can't miss it. Defaults nudge you before you think. Let me show you exactly how this looks for a writing block. Night before, batch setup. Open tomorrow's doc, paste your starter move at the top, hide everything else, set a 25-minute timer in ready state, place headphones on the keyboard. Morning, sit, breathe, read the starter move, press start. No hunting files, no deciding music, no notifications. The path of least resistance is writing. A quick micro story. An engineer lost 10 minutes every session to repo errors. We batched friction, 1 script to pull, branch, and open the IDE with the right files, a daily cron to pre-build during breakfast. We moved error handling to a safe window. Starts went from 2 per day to 5 because the first 30 seconds became idiot-proof. Before we continue, audit your friction in 3 layers: visual, digital, and procedural. Visual, what on your desk doesn't belong to this task? Remove it. Digital, what tabs, notifications, or tools will interrupt the first minute? Kill them. Procedural, what steps routinely trip you? Batch and template them. Write these once, reuse forever. Common mistakes to avoid: adding tools to fix friction. The tools created. If an app adds a decision, it's not a fix. Over-optimizing beyond the first 30 seconds. Setup should be minimal. Stop when the start is easy. Treating blockers as personal failures. If the environment invites distraction, you'll take it. Change the invite. Use the 2-minute friction sweep before each session. Put one object you need in your path. Close one thing that doesn't belong. Preload one file you'll touch. Preset one timer. That's it. 4 tiny moves that collapse the start cost. Now you might be thinking, what about interruptions I can't control? You can reduce their impact. Use a visible focus in progress cue on your door or status. Park a capture pad next to you. When a thought or request pops up, write it. Don't switch. Schedule callback windows so you trust there's a place for the noise later. If you're in a shared space, wear headphones as a social boundary device even if you're not playing audio. One more example to land it. A teacher graded papers only after dinner but always drifted. We rearranged defaults. Red pen on the plate spot, 10 papers clipped with a sticky, grade 2, TV remote in a drawer across the room, playlist queued, timer preset to 12 minutes. The ritual became sit, start, 2 papers, stop on a win. Friction down, starts up, grading done before TV. If you remember nothing else from this lever, remember this: you don't rise to your goals, you fall to your defaults. Shape the first 30 seconds so the cheapest action is the right one. When the environment carries the load, motivation can show up late and you'll still be moving. Lever 4. Make action rewarding immediately. You lowered threat, made the first move visible, and cleared the path. Now we make the first minute feel interesting and the finish feel visible. You're not bribing yourself. You're creating immediate salience so your valuation system tilts towards start. Begin with novelty. Your brain notices change. Tiny novelty bumps dopamine enough to tip you into motion. Change location. Shift to a different chair, stand at the counter, or move to a quiet corner. Change soundtrack. New playlist, white noise, or no audio if you always use music. Change format. Switch the first pass to handwriting, voice notes, or sketching. You're not overhauling the task, you're tweaking the input so your system says, this is new, pay attention. Now build micro rewards that land in under 2 minutes. Use completion counters, visible tallies, or a simple streak number on a sticky note. Every time you run a starter move, tick the box. That tick is a tiny positive prediction error. Oh, that counted. For progress you can see, add a mini before/after. Duplicate a file and make one small change so the difference is obvious. Take a phone photo of your whiteboard every time you add 3 bullets. Visible movement trains your brain to expect payoff from starting. Stop on a win. This is the anti-burnout cap that keeps craving alive. When you end a session while it still feels a little fun, or right after a micro success, you create a memory your brain wants to return to. Leave a cliffhanger. Write one note about the next line you'll write, or leave a next 2 moves sticky on the dock. Tomorrow's start gets cheaper, because past you left fresh breadcrumbs. Use a social proof loop without pressure. You're aiming for accountability that signals progress, not judgment. Send a low-stakes check-in to one buddy. Start logged 10 minutes, 3 bullets. Or post a private note in a small channel. Keep it about starts, not quality. Belonging nudges consistency, but avoid evaluative spaces that spike threat. If a space makes you self-censor, it's the wrong space for starting. Here's the shortcut nobody teaches. Rewards should amplify the task, not compete with it. If your reward hijacks attention, deep-diving social feeds, immersive games, you're substituting the task, not reinforcing it. Choose compliments, a fresh playlist, a stretch break, a quick walk, a tally, tick, a sip of a favorite drink. Think add a spark, not open a vortex. Let me show you exactly how to wire a 2-minute reward setup before a session. Step 1. Pick one novelty switch, location, soundtrack, or format. Step 2. Place a visible counter near your workspace with a single box labeled Start. Step 3. Write a 1-line cliffhanger for how you'll resume. Step 4. Pick a micro reward that pairs with completion, not mid-task distraction. Stand up and exhale, check the box, and DM your buddy, started. You've front-loaded salience, made progress visible, and made finishing feel good. A quick micro story. A marketer avoided outlining campaigns because it felt flat. We added novelty by switching the first 5 minutes to voice notes and changed the soundtrack to instrumental hip-hop. We put a starts counter on the desk and used the stop on a win rule. Outline 2 headlines, stop, jot the next headline idea. Starts quadrupled in a week and they reported, I actually want to open it now. Nothing dramatic, just a salience bump and visible wins. Now here's where most people mess up. They only add novelty and forget clarity or safety. Novelty without safety becomes stimulation seeking. Or they use rewards that distract more than they reinforce, like one video after every paragraph, which turns into 3 videos and no paragraphs. Keep rewards adjacent and brief, and always tether them to completion signals. Another common mistake, chasing perfect streaks. The reward system should reduce pressure, not raise it. If you miss a day, don't reset to 0. Use streak with grace. Count the last 7 days and track starts within that rolling window. You keep momentum visible without letting one gap nuke your identity. Make action feel rewarding inside the task too. Add micro-challenges that create immediate wins. Find one sentence to cut, rename 5 variables, turn one messy paragraph into 2 clean ones. Tiny before-after moments deliver intrinsic reinforcement. Pair that with novelty and the early minutes become engaging instead of gray. Use this reward snap kit anytime you feel flat. Novelty pick, location, soundtrack, or format. Choose one. Visible win, a counter, a progress tick, or a before-after snapshot. Cliffhanger, write the next 2 moves before you stop. Social nudge, one low-pressure check-in focused on starts. A final example, a student dreaded stats problem sets. We added a problem of the day card on the desk, a jazz playlist only used for stats, a visible tally for starts, and the rule to stop after solving one part, leaving the next sub-question written out. The next day's start was automatic. The task didn't change. The first minute became rewarding. If you remember nothing else, remember this. Reward early, small, and aligned. Novelty to spark, visible progress to satisfy, stop on a win to build craving, and social proof without pressure. Do that and start. Feels good fast enough to become a habit. The 7-day identity reset protocol. You've got the engine. Now let's run it for 1 week and let your brain collect enough evidence to retire the lazy label. 7 days, 1 lever focus per day, light lifts, real signals. Day 1, audit the blockers. Today is diagnosis, not performance. Ask, what's blocking action? Then scan the big 4. Threat, clarity, friction, reward. Write 1 sentence for each on your top project. Spot the dominant dial, the one raising the cost most. End by writing 1 constraint line for tomorrow. Verb plus object constraint. Keep it tiny. The win today is awareness and 1 clear starter on paper. Day 2, safety setup. Your aim is safe enough to start. Run the 60-second reset. 4 slow breaths with longer exhales. Say the cue, safe to start messy. Start privately or offline for 5 minutes. Add permission to waste 2 minutes and use 2 truths. I'm nervous and this matters. Then do the smallest piece of the starter you wrote yesterday. The job isn't to finish, it's to prove your system can start when the threat is down. Day 3, clarity day. Turn fog into handles. Take your main goal and turn it into 3 starter moves using verb plus object plus constraint. Each should produce evidence in under 2 minutes. Example, open deck, write 3 ugly bullets on slide 3 in 8 minutes. Then run 1 starter move. If any move feels heavy, slice it again. The win today is seeing how small, visible steps flip your valuation. Day 4, friction sweep. Engineer the path of least resistance. Do a 15-minute environment pass. Clear your desk to a single queue, preload the right file, set a timer preset, and close non-essential apps. Batch 1 setup, template a doc, pin a folder, or create a Start Here workspace. Adopt a single tab rule for 1 block. Finish by running a 2-minute friction sweep. Put 1 needed object in your path, close 1 distraction, preload 1 file, preset 1 timer. Then do your starter move. Day 5, reward spark. Add novelty and visible wins without hijacking the task. Pick 1 novelty switch, location, soundtrack, or format for your first 5 minutes. Place a small starts counter by your workspace. After your starter move, tick the box and stop on a win. Leave a 1-line cliffhanger. Next, outline subpoints A and B. If you want light accountability, send a low-pressure check-in, start logged. The goal is to make the first minute feel interesting and the finish feel satisfying. Day 6, focus sprint with all levers. Today you'll run the full sequence for 90 minutes in 3 short rounds. Round 1, safety, 60-second breath, cue, private start. Clarity, write the starter move, friction, single tab, preload file, timer on. Reward, novelty and a visible tally. Work 20 minutes, break 5. Repeat twice more. Keep stakes low. This is a practice of valuation tuning, not heroics. At the end, record starts and completions only. That's your data. Day 7, review loop. Close the feedback cycle so predictions update. Ask 3 questions. What worked? What felt easy? What will I repeat next week? Tag the lever that moved the needle most. Capture 2 micro changes you'll keep, maybe private starts and the single tab rule. Write 3 starter moves for next week's top project and place them where you'll see them. End with a simple identity line. I start small, fast, and often. You're not forcing belief. You're reading the week's evidence out loud. Now, a few coaching points to make this stick. Keep everything low threat. Private drafts, short time boxes, and messy first aren't training wheels. They're how your brain regains bandwidth. Don't chase perfect streaks. If you miss a day, you didn't break the protocol. Resume the next step. A rolling 7-day window keeps momentum visible without turning identity into pressure. Track only starts and completions. Those are leading indicators that update predictions. If a metric doesn't change tomorrow's move, drop it. Common snags and fixes. If you stall on day 2 or 3, you likely skipped safety or sliced too big. Run the 60-second reset and cut your starter move in half. If day 4 feels fussy, you're over-optimizing. Stop at the first moment the start is obvious. If day 5 novelty turns into distraction, switch to a smaller novelty, new pen, new chair, and keep it paired with a completion tick. A quick micro story. Last month, a client who called himself chronically lazy ran this protocol. On day 1, the dominant blocker was threat, fear of judgment. Day 2's private starts unlocked motion. Day 3's verb object constraint made moves visible. Day 4's single tab rule removed choice clutter. Day 5's novelty playlist made the first minute pop. On day 6, he finished 2 micro deliverables he'd avoided for weeks. Day 7, he wrote, I start small, fast, often. The label didn't need a fight. The inputs rewrote the story. If you remember nothing else about this week, remember this. You're not fixing yourself. You're tuning dials. Safety, clarity, friction, reward. 1 lever per day, then stack them. 7 days from now, your brain will have fresh proof that starting is safe, cheap, and worth it. That's how identities change. Handling stuck states. When you can't start. Let's tackle the worst moment. You're staring at the task and nothing moves. Here's the playbook that gets you from 0 to momentum without wrestling yourself. Start with the 60-second safety reset. 4 box breaths. Inhale 4, hold 4, exhale 6 to 8, hold 2. Paired with the cue, safe to start messy. You're lowering arousal so planning can come back online. Then go straight into the smallest starter move you can define in 10 seconds. Verb, object, constraint. Open doc. Write 3 ugly bullets in 2 minutes. Don't overthink it. Move your hands, not your standards. If threat is loud, grant permission to waste the first 2 minutes. Say it out loud. You're buying tolerance for ambiguity and signaling your nervous system that nothing final is happening. Keep exposure low. Private draft, offline first, door closed, camera off. Make the risk reversible and the clock short. Small, safe, now. If you still feel stuck, move the start line. Change 1 context variable, location, posture, or time box. Stand up, relocate to the edge of the table, and set a 5-minute timer. Or switch the input mode. Voice note the first thoughts, then paste and clean. Novelty creates salience. Salience lowers the perceived cost enough to begin. Another quick unlock, split decision from action. If you're jammed on choosing where to begin, run a 90-second decision pass. List 3 possible starting points. Pick 1 imperfectly, and lock it for 5 minutes. Uncertainty is expensive. A quick, arbitrary constraint makes it cheap enough to try. If the fog is really thick, use the 2 lines of evidence trick. Line 1, write the next 2 moves you'll attempt. Line 2, write 1 thing you'll ignore for 10 minutes. Seeing both reduces ambiguity and the itch to optimize. Then start the first move immediately. Here's a micro routine you can memorize. Breathe, phrase, place, pace. Breathe, 1 minute of box breathing. Phrase, safe to start messy. Place, make it private, put the file front and center. Pace, set a 5-minute timer and start the smallest move. 4 steps, 90 seconds, then motion. If you're stuck because the task feels too big, cut it until it feels a little silly. Outline chapter becomes write 1 ugly sentence that could start the chapter. Clean the kitchen becomes clear the counter space the size of a cutting board. If you feel a tiny eye roll, good, you've crossed into doable. When anxiety spikes mid-start, run the two truths and continue. I'm tense, and I can type one line. Keep your hands moving while acknowledging the feeling. You're training your system that fear can ride along without driving. If you hit resistance after 2 minutes, don't escalate pressure. Pivot to a neighboring starter move that keeps your work identity alive. Can't draft? Tidy the file structure for 3 minutes. Can't brainstorm? Copy the outline template and paste headings. Momentum beats purity. Protect I'm a starter, then return to the main path. Use the 5 clicks to start test. If you need more than 5 clicks to touch the work, friction is blocking you. Stop, remove one obstacle, pin the folder, put the doc on the desktop, or template the first lines. Try again. Stuck often means the start line is physically hidden. If you catch yourself seeking motivation, flip it. Action precedes motivation. Your only job is to produce 2 minutes of evidence. After those 2 minutes, reassess. Most of the time, the slope is gentler and you'll continue. If not, you still banked a start, which updates the identity that makes the next start cheaper. Microstory. A lawyer dreaded drafting responses. We ran breathe, phrase, place, pace. 4 breaths, safe to start, messy. Private doc, 5-minute timer. Starter move, paste the opposing claim and write 3 ugly counters, 1 per minute. At minute 5, they had momentum and kept going to 15. The hard part wasn't the words, it was crossing the start line safely. Common mistakes to avoid: negotiating with the task. Don't argue, lower the cost. Building a perfect plan before moving. Plans update faster after evidence. Turning resets into rituals that take 10 minutes. Keep safety fast, switching tasks without preserving identity. If you pivot, state, I'm maintaining the start, and do 2 minutes on the neighbor task. Quick stuck checklist. Breath done, compassionate cue said, starter move, written in verb plus object plus constraint, timer set to 5, first keystroke or pen stroke made. If any box is empty, fill it now. The moment your hands move, you've won the only game that matters, initiating under low threat. Handling mid-task crashes and avoidance spirals. Crashes start with a signal: confusion, fatigue, or fear of judgment. Name it out loud. Labeling reduces uncertainty and stops the spiral from hiding. Now insert a clarity checkpoint. Write the next 2 visible moves. If it still feels murky, rewrite them smaller. Refuel the system. Do a 90-second reset. Stand, micro walk, sip water, 3 long exhales. If energy is low, switch to a lighter neighboring task for 5 minutes to protect momentum. Lower exposure. Go private, close inputs, and hide metrics. If social threat is loud, remind yourself, draft, not verdict. If you feel the pull of avoidance, pause and tag the blocker: threat, clarity, friction, or reward. Then schedule a specific re-entry with a verb-object constraint line and a time. Put it on the calendar. Finally, write a 2-line exit note. Next 2 moves and ignore X. You'll return to a shorter runway. Designing your minimal weekly system. You've tuned the levers and survived the stuck moments. Now we turn that into a rhythm you can run every week without thinking. The goal isn't a perfect planner. It's a minimal system that keeps starts cheap, evidence frequent, and identity updating. Cadence beats intensity. Start by limiting work in progress. Choose 3 meaningful projects for this week, no more. Ask, which 3, if nudged forward, would create the most relief or progress? Write them down. Now define 1 starter move for each using verb plus object constraint. Keep each under 10 minutes and evidence producing. Example, open draft 3, write 3 ugly bullets for methods. Open inbox, archive or reply to 5 messages. Open budget Jan, reconcile 3 transactions, 3 projects, 3 handles. That's your weekly anchor. Next, anchor 2 focus sprints on your calendar. Protect these like meetings with your future self. Aim for 45-90 minutes each, early in the week if possible. You'll run the 2-minute pre-flight ritual at the start of each sprint. Safety, 1 minute of breathing and safe to start messy. Clarity, write the starter move on a sticky. Friction, single tab file loaded, timer set. Reward, choose 1 novelty and place a visible starts counter. You'll cycle through your 3 projects in that window, 1 starter move at a time, keeping the bar low and the evidence high. Prep Sunday is your pit stop, 15 to 20 minutes, max. Do an environment pass for the week. Clear your desk to a single queue, pin the 3 project folders, Cue one playlist you'll only use for focus sprints and preset timer presets, 10, 20, 45 minutes. Batch friction fixes now. Template docs, pin shortcuts, sign into tools, update the repo. Write a small start here note for Monday with the 3 starter moves and place it where you can't miss it. Sunday prep prevents weekday decision fatigue and gives Monday a downhill slope. Review Friday closes the loop. 10 minutes, tops. Answer 3 questions. What worked? What felt easy? What will I repeat? Tag the lever that moved the needle most. Safety, clarity, friction, reward. Then write next week's 3 starter moves on a card. Count only starts and completions. That's it. Leading indicators update your brain's prediction. Vanity metrics don't. If a metric won't change your next move, drop it. Keep metrics painfully simple. 2 tallies on a sticky, starts and completions. Every time you kick off a starter move, tick starts. When a deliverable crosses a meaningful boundary, sent, submitted, merged, turned in, tick completions. No time tracking rabbit holes. Your identity is, I start and I finish. These are the only numbers that matter for that identity. Now here's where most people mess up. They try to overhaul their whole life in a weekend. Don't build a cathedral, lay one brick. Your weekly system should feel slightly underbuilt. If it starts to feel heavy, you added too much. Strip it back to the 3 projects, 2 focus sprints, 1 prep Sunday, 1 review Friday, and the 2 counters. Let consistency create sophistication, not the other way around. Let me show you exactly how a week might run. Sunday prep. 15 minutes. Pin 3 project folders to your sidebar. Open a Start Here doc with Monday's 3 starter moves written out. Preload templates or frameworks you know you'll use. Set timer presets and cue a fresh playlist. Put a starts completion sticky on your monitor. Monday focus, sprint 1, 60 minutes. Pre-flight, breathe, cue, private mode, sticky with starter move. Project A, run starter move, tick starts, write a 1-line cliffhanger. Short break, stand, exhale, sip water. Project B, new starter move, tick starts, short break. Project C, starter move, tick starts, stop on a win. Wednesday focus sprint 2, 60 minutes, same pre-flight. Pick the 2 projects with the most momentum, run 1 starter move each. If energy dips, switch to a lighter adjacent move that still produces evidence. If a deliverable is ripe, push it over the line and tick completions. Friday review, 10 minutes, scan the counters, starts tick, completions ticked. Note what felt easy and what lever helped most. Write 3 starter moves for next week and place the card for Monday. You might be thinking, what if I have more than 3 priorities? You do, but your brain doesn't juggle them well. Park extras on a next 3 list. When one project completes or cools, promote the next most valuable one. Limiting WIP reduces switching costs and makes starts predictable. Paradoxically, you'll touch more priorities across the month because you're actually finishing. What about emergencies? Build flex into the system. If a sprint gets bumped, slide it to the next available 45-minute block. If a day explodes, bank a 2-minute starter move on any project that evening, just to protect identity. Your rule is, I start small, fast, and often, not I'm perfect. The rolling 7-day window keeps you honest without punishing gaps. Teamwork? Great, adapt the cadence. You can run a micro prep Sunday on Friday afternoon, write shared starter moves in the team repo, and open sprints with a 2-minute group pre-flight. 1 breath, 1 clarity line per person, 1 visible starts tick in the stand-up notes. Keep accountability supportive, not evaluative. Common pitfalls and fixes. Pitfall, expanding the list midweek. Fix, lock the 3 until Friday. Capture new ideas in a parking lot. Pitfall, turning review Friday into a postmortem. Fix, celebrate starts and completions first. Improvements get 1 line each. Pitfall, using sprints for meetings. Fix, protect sprints as build time. Meetings go elsewhere. A quick micro story. A consultant with 8 active clients felt constantly behind. We cut to 3 active projects per week, scheduled 2 60-minute focus sprints, and added Sunday prep and Friday review. We moved all non-essential tracking to 2 tallies. In 2 weeks, their starts doubled, completions rose 40%, and their reported stress dropped. Nothing magical, just a cadence the brain could run. If you remember nothing else about the weekly system, remember this. Choose 3, sprint twice, prep once, review once, count starts and completions. Keep it light so you'll keep it. When the rhythm is simple, your levers work automatically, and your starter identity keeps compounding. The identity bridge. I'm a starter habit. You've tuned the levers and built a weekly rhythm. Now we lock in a lighter identity that keeps all of this running with less effort. Replace I'm lazy with I start small, fast, and often. Say it out loud. Write it where you'll see it. Identity statements guide prediction and action. When your brain expects you to start, it notices cues that let you start. Here's the shortcut nobody teaches. Build a daily 2-minute start ritual that you run on anything meaningful, even on chaotic days. Same simple sequence each time. Breathe once, whisper safe to start messy, write a verb object constraint starter move, and do it for 2 minutes. That's it. Repetition binds the cue to the behavior until starting becomes reflexive. You're teaching your system that I start happens regardless of mood, time, or perfection. Keep the ritual ridiculously small so you'll repeat it. 2 minutes is the whole deal. You're not trying to accomplish the project, you're reinforcing the identity. Think of it as brushing your teeth for your work. Quick, consistent, non-negotiable. You can always go longer once you're moving, but the habit counts the first 2 minutes as success. Evidence stacking makes this identity sticky. Track starts, not hours. Put a tiny tally somewhere visible, sticky note, index card, or a simple counter app. Every time you run the 2-minute ritual, tick, start. 10 ticks in a week, your brain gets a clear message. I'm a person who starts. That signal matters more than perfect blocks because initiation is the hardest part. Reward the thing you want to be automatic. Make it social without pressure. Find one friend or a tiny group and celebrate starts, not quality. A quick message, start log. No judging drafts, no grading output. Belonging fuels consistency, but evaluation spikes threat. Keep the vibe supportive and focused on showing up. If a space makes you self-edit your check-ins, it's the wrong room for your starter. Identity. Let me show you exactly how to set this up. Pick one daily cue you already have, morning coffee, sitting at your desk, or after lunch. That cue triggers the 2-minute start ritual. Keep a start card next to that cue with the script. Breath, 1 slow exhale. Phrase, safe to start messy. Starter move, verb plus object plus constraint. 2-minute timer, start and move your hands. End with a tiny celebration, 1 tick on the starts counter and a 1-line cliffhanger, next 2 moves. That's your exit breadcrumb for tomorrow. You might be thinking, what if I miss a day? Use a rolling 7-day window. Count how many days you started in the last 7, not a forever streak. That keeps momentum visible without nuking identity after a gap. The rule is, I start small, fast, and often, not I never miss. Grace keeps the identity light enough to live with. Now here's where most people mess up. They turn this into a performance metric. Hours logged, pages written, perfect streaks, and the threat needle spikes again. Don't let starts get buried under pressure. Starts are binary. Did you run the 2-minute ritual today? Yes or no? That's the only score the identity cares about. Another trap, saving the ritual for real work. The point is the association between cue and starting. Apply it to any meaningful domain, writing, study, finance, fitness, tidying. The broader the context you start in, the stronger the identity becomes. Your brain learns that I start is portable. Use small identity scaffolds around you. Change your screensaver to start small, fast, often. Put a start sticky on your monitor with 10 boxes for the week. Rename your workspace Start Here. Wear a simple bracelet or ring you twist when you begin, tiny tactile anchors that signal the ritual. You're surrounding yourself with cues that make starting the obvious next move. Let me give you a micro story. A designer thought, I never follow through. We flipped it to I start small, fast, often, and added the 2-minute ritual after morning coffee. Day 1. Open Figma, duplicate homepage, try 1 alternate header size, 2 minutes, tick. Day 2, open backlog, sort 3 items, tick. Day 3, open deck, write 3 ugly bullets, tick. By day 10, they were starting without negotiation because the cue and behavior were bonded. The output improved naturally, but the win was identity. I start. If you remember nothing else, remember this. Identity is a lagging indicator of repeated evidence. The daily 2-minute start ritual is how you create that evidence on purpose. Say the line, I start small, fast, often. Run the ritual off a reliable cue. Track starts with 1 tiny tally. Keep the social loop supportive. Don't inflate the metric. You're not proving worth, you're training a reflex. Here's your quick setup to lock it in tonight. Choose your cue, coffee, desk, or lunch. Place a start card there with the 4-step script. Put a starts tally where you'll see it in the morning. Ask one friend to swap low-pressure started messages for a week. Tomorrow, run the ritual on the smallest meaningful move you can state. 2 minutes, tick. Cliffhanger. You'll feel the slope change within a few days. And as your starts counter grows, the lazy story won't have airtime. It's crowded out by evidence that you, right now, are a starter. Quick wins you can use today. Let's lock in a few tiny moves you can do today that flip the valuation fast. 5 quick wins, each designed to lower threat, make the first move visible, and create immediate evidence. Do one now. Stack more if you've got momentum. Quick win 1, delete 1 friction. Prep a single task starting kit. Ask, what's the first 30 seconds of pain here? Then remove it. If it's hunting a file, drag the file to your desktop and rename it Start Here. If it's tool chaos, close everything except the one app you'll use. If it's clutter, clear the workspace to the one object that signals the task. A book, a notebook, a code, file, a slide deck. 1 friction removed equals a cheaper start. You'll feel the resistance drop because the path is now obvious. Quick win 2. Write 1 starter move for your top project. Verb, object, constraint. It should produce evidence in 2 minutes and be so clear a toddler could point to it. Open draft 2. Write 3 ugly bullets for section B in 2 minutes. Open inbox. Archive or reply to 5 messages in 5 minutes. Open budget Jan. Reconcile 3 transactions in 3 minutes. Write it on a sticky and place it where your eyes will land next. You've transformed an outcome into an affordance. If you feel tension reading it, slice it smaller. Quick win 3. Set 1 micro reward you'll actually feel. You're anchoring a visible finish signal, not creating a rabbit hole. Choose one, a simple tally tick labeled Start, a 1-line before-after snapshot, or a tiny stretch and sip ritual you only do after completion. Pair it with a stop on a win rule, end right after the first successful step, and leave a 1-line cliffhanger for your next session. Next, write 2 subheads. Immediate satisfaction plus a breadcrumb equals a cheaper next start. Quick win 4. Run 1 10-minute focus sprint using the reset and start ritual. Here's the exact microsequence. Safety, 60 seconds of box breathing, whisper, safe to start messy, and go private, notifications off, door closed. Clarity. Write your starter move in verb plus object constraint form. Friction. Single tab, correct file loaded, timer set for 10. Reward. New playlist or fresh silence for a novelty bump. Place the starts tally visible. Press start, do the move for 2 minutes, and if it feels good, keep going to 10. Stop on a win, tick the counter, write a 1-line cliffhanger. You just ran the engine in miniature and proved to your brain that the first hill is small. Quick win 5. Share 1 start publicly to lock identity without pressure. Send a 2-line message to a buddy or a tiny channel. Start logged. 10 minutes on project. Next, 2 moves. No screenshots, no draft reviews, no judgment. The social nudge strengthens the I start identity while keeping threat low. If public spaces spike evaluation, keep it private. A note to yourself in a log still works. Now, if you want to stack bonus wins, here are 3 more optional add-ons. Pick one. Bonus, make a context card. On a note, write location, tools, time, energy. Kitchen table, laptop plus spreadsheet, 10 minutes, medium energy. Use it to choose your next starter move that fits this exact context. Matching context to action eliminates hidden negotiations and spikes initiation. Bonus, 2-minute friction sweep. Right before a session, do 4 micro moves. Put 1 needed object in your path, close 1 distraction, preload 1 file, preset 1 timer. That's 30 to 45 seconds of prep that collapses the first 30 seconds of effort. Bonus, identity anchor. Rename your workspace Start Here, change your screensaver text to Start Small, Fast, Often, or wear a small physical cue you touch when you begin. These anchors make starting the default behavior your environment suggests. Let me show you exactly how a 10-minute block could play out. Start to finish. Minute 1, box breathing, safe to start messy, close chat. Minute 1-2, write the starter move, open draft 2, write 3 ugly bullets for section B in 2 minutes. Minute 2-3, single tab, load draft 2, timer set to 10, new playlist on. Minute 3-5, write 3 bullets. Minute 5, tick starts, write the cliffhanger, next, expand bullet 2. Minute 5-10, if you're in flow, continue, if not, stop on the win. Either way, you've banked evidence and left breadcrumbs. A quick micro story to make this concrete. A student messaged, "I keep putting off reading." We ran these wins. They deleted friction by placing the book on their keyboard. They wrote a starter move, read one paragraph, summarize in one sentence. They set a micro reward, tick starts and stretch. They ran a 10-minute sprint. Then they DM'd a buddy, start logged. 2 days later, reading happened without the internal fight. The assignment didn't change, the inputs did. Common mistakes to avoid today. Writing a plan, not a move. If it doesn't produce evidence in 2 minutes, it's still a plan. Choosing a reward that competes with the task. Keep it adjacent and brief. Overstacking. 1 friction deleted, 1 starter move written, 1 micro reward set, 1 10-minute sprint. That's a win. If you add more, the start cost usually rises. If you remember nothing else from this section, remember this. 1 friction removed, 1 starter move written, 1 micro reward placed, 1 10-minute sprint run, and 1 low-pressure start shared. 5 tiny actions that, together, make starting feel safe, clear, easy, and satisfying. Today. Here's the takeaway. You're not lazy, you're blocked. Fix safety, clarity, friction, and reward, and starting becomes cheap, repeatable, and identity shifting. Run the 7-day reset this week and bank your own evidence. Then watch my advanced, focused focus sprint video next to stack deeper practice. Subscribe if you want weekly systems that make action feel simple and sustainable.